Hey, and welcome to Connections, Coffee, and Confidence with me, Janice. Look, I know you're busy, which makes me really appreciate the time you spend here with me, be it if you're listening while shoveling your driveway, or creating your new batch of products, or trying to figure out how to grow your business in a way that, frankly, doesn't scare the bejesus out of you. It's one of the pieces of feedback that I get most commonly, that appreciation that I keep these episodes short. And this tells me that you appreciate getting down to business. That is what this episode is designed to do. Cut the faff, get to work. Hi, I'm Janice Fogarty, and I'm a communications strategist and consultant. The Connections, Coffee, Confidence podcast is for professional women entrepreneurs who have established themselves and their business, and they're ready to get serious about using the power of communication to surpass their business goals. On this podcast, I discuss everything from leadership to establishing a business vision to the intricacies of creating messaging, publicity, and more. I speak to women who excel in communications in their business, whatever they do, and get an inside look at how they created a thriving livelihood. So top up your mug and welcome to this week's episode. This episode was sparked by a live I did in my Facebook group, the Connections, Coffee, and Confidence community, where I talked about the power of strategy, of having a target in mind. Now, I hesitate to use the word goal because I don't want you to get the heebie-jeebies and tune out. This is about having in your mind's eye a picture of what you're working towards. And you can do that. I promote having your roadmap to this beautiful destination written down somewhere, even if it's in picture format. Seriously, try creating a private board on Pinterest if you're a visual person. Even a good old-fashioned vision board, which I love. But just something that you can use as a reference. Because in the process of making this roadmap, be it written, electronic, or arts and crafts style up in your wall, making it will force you to become clear on where you want to head. Once you have that clarity, you can begin watching for the opportunities and grab those ones that pop up from time to time. You know the ones I mean. You see something on Instagram or a friend forwards an email to you, and it looks like exactly the thing you didn't know you needed to do. You can grab the right ones because you know where you're headed and you know what makes sense for the future you're building. You know what else happens? You start creating opportunities for yourself. You almost intuitively start creating content, writing posts, and maybe even creating TikToks or Reels. Just things that help you share your message about who you are, what you do, why they want to work with you or buy from you. And I say intuitively because you internalize your messaging when it is so clear. If you can't clearly articulate your goals, if you can't talk about them or picture them, then before going any further in business or really even in this episode, you need to figure that one out. As Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, begin with the end in mind. Your goal, even if it changes, is actually the beginning. Oh, sorry for using the G word there. Your destination is the beginning. But wow, does it ever feel good to be creating from intuition? That place where you don't feel the pressure of what to say or how to say it with grace and style and perfection. You just say it as often as you can, as many ways as you can, because you believe it so fully. You just know it's the right thing to say. Now, for my lovelies who aren't always happy to feel their way through things like content creation and writing, I do have some concrete tips. You intuitive feelers should probably keep listening anyway, because you never know where inspiration might come from. And yes, I said, you never know. It makes sense, but it still sounds weird. Anywho, tip 1. Think of your client's voice. When you write copy for, anything going to your paying people, You want them to recognize themselves in your words. This makes them feel connected to you, like you're similar to them, and they should like you. Draw a circle to start a brainstorming session on a piece of paper, or get out the lined paper, or create a spreadsheet for your list, and write down a word to start it all off, a word for your client or customer. Then write down a list of words that come to mind. Think back to your conversations with them, the words they say, what they ask you or put in their emails or reviews. You can even think about or Google other ads for things similar to what you do, where you've seen them and thought, oh, I wish I had written that. If it speaks to you, it'll speak to them. Don't copy whole phrases from ads though. I know you know that. Just make a note of the words that jump out at you, that make an impact. As a result, when you're writing, you'll have a stock of relatable words to pull from. Now, I have a habit of sticking these words and phrases into the Notes app on my phone, or scribbling them down in one of my notebooks. However, I rarely remember to transfer them over to a spreadsheet, so I suggest you don't do as I do in this case. Make a note, but if you can't access those notes when you're actually creating your content, that's no good. So have a system. And I usually find that your clients and customers as a group, well, the majority of them are usually people just like you. They're the people who probably use the same words as you. And so your client voice is probably going to match your own brand voice pretty closely. Their words should be fairly easy to fit inside your own voice and message. But a specific list of client-found words is a great database to work from when the blinking cursor is laughing at you. Tip 2. Work out your messaging. This is where the purpose of your content comes in, because purpose is important. If you actually are as busy as you think you are, then you do not want to waste your time writing content that does nothing but kill time. You want to use your time to get the most bang for your buck, time being money and all that jazz. Really good messaging is a combination of your purpose, your intent, said in your client's words and voice. So that list of what your clients say, of words and phrases that strike as meaningful or representative of what you address, how your clients feel before, during, and after you work with them or they used your product, those are the tools that you use to get your message across. Take out the jargon, replace it with real people words, and mold them around your intention. What do you need your audience to know, think, feel, or do once they've heard you? The best bonus of having clear messaging with a purpose is speed. I know I'm always looking for a quicker or more streamlined way to do things. Let me batch create and schedule and get that task off my list for the month, rather than every day try and figure out little bits and pieces. If that appeals to you, have you looked into my Create Your Social Media Content strategy? It covers messaging, writing the copy that supports your business, and even creating the visuals. It's the system that I use for my clients, and it works. I'll link to it in the show notes. But anything that I can systemize, take the thinking piece out, make it easier and quicker to accomplish, is always a win for me. And I feel like it is for you too. I know I'd rather spend my time my way, not always working. When you have your purpose for creating and a list of helpful words and phrases, that's a system. You just need to put it together and work through it. It streamlines the content creation, and those words can help inspire the visuals required to complete the messaging. And that leads me to tip 3, which isn't really about the writing, but more about the practice of writing. This is another system. Have you ever sat down to create content and wanted to go clean the bathroom? Walk the dog? How about make another cup of coffee? But you force yourself to sit, and then, you just can't get comfortable. there's something off with the universe. There's a retrograde or a tardigrade or something just isn't quite right and it is blocking you. Well, you're not alone. I've had to create a practice for when I'm creating content. I have a set of signals from my brain, a sequence of events that tell me I'm preparing to write. I light a candle or 5. They're scented. The act of lighting them and then the smell of them, it tells my brain that I'm writing, that I'm relaxed and I'm enjoying the process. I don't burn these candles in the evening or whenever I feel like it. They are my writing candles. I have my slippers on. I sit in a particular place. I usually warm up my creativity by writing in my journal by hand. And if you've listened to me before, you know I'm a proponent of old-fashioned low-tech writing. The thing is that this sequence of events is like a ritual that tells my subconscious that, yes, we're sitting down to create content and, more importantly, this is nice and we like doing it. And even on those days when I really have to force myself to start the ritual works. What's interesting about this is that I've heard manifesting or money mentor experts such as Denise Duffield-Thomas talk about using a sequence of events, usually referred to as a ritual, or triggers for manifesting wealth. So take DDT. She burned an ocean-scented candle so that she could smell the sea and hold close to her heart that goal of owning a house by the ocean. I don't know how I feel about using the word ritual for work things. Rituals to me are more spiritual in manner. And although I'm using a sequence of events to trigger a feeling or a knowing inside of myself, and ritual totally encapsulates that definition, it just doesn't sit perfectly settled in my heart. I don't know. So if you like rituals and feel like they 100% belong in setting you up for business success, please call it a ritual and slay it. Otherwise, set up an atmosphere conducive to doing your best work. In short, get comfy. My fourth tip is perhaps another unexpected one. It's about knowing when to stop. You may have a desire to tweak something just a little bit more, or to sleep on it before you hit publish or send, to scrap it and redo the whole thing, usually only to find yourself recreating the original. You might wonder about it while you're doing something, totally different, like, I don't know, laying in your bed at night. But there comes a time when good enough is enough. That's all you can do, and it's all that's expected from you. If you have your client voice, your messaging, your content creation practice or ritual, and you know when to walk away, then you have a tidy little framework to create fantastic content that not only does your brand justice, but also feels good in the process. Now, I would love to hear your opinion on the use of the word ritual when it comes to the things that make you money. Take a screenshot of this episode or of you listening to it and tag me on Instagram. Let me know if you're pro-ritual or prefer to have a sequence of events or triggers. I'm Janice E. Fogarty on Instagram. And thanks so much for listening. And I hope you have a fan-freaking-tastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much for listening this week. I invite you to sign up for my email list or join me in the Connections Coffee and Confidence community on Facebook. Those are the people who get first dibs on any classes or products I create, and they benefit from the extras I can't get into in a podcast format. I also lovingly request that if you've enjoyed this podcast, you leave a review on Apple. When I see a new review, I get so excited I almost spill my cappuccino froth. Almost. And if you're a woman entrepreneur who's ready to get serious about using the power of communications to grow your business, send me an email at janice@janicefogarty.com. All my details are in the show notes. Thank you again for listening today, and I'll chat with you again next week.